Alright, I was looking into these moonroofs. This one has a little leak. If I park the car so that the rear of the car is downhill and the front is up, it doesn't leak so much. If I park it level or pointing downhill, it leaks. And underneath here, when you pull this thing off, there's a tray. And in this corner on both sides, there's a hose, which I'll show you here in a little bit, and it runs all the way down. It's a long hose, so I think it goes way down there. And of course, inside here, you have the mechanism that runs it up and down, or open and close. And there's one screw, you pull this thing off, then there's another screw and you pull. Anyway, I'll show you that in a little bit. And then this trim piece right here, it comes off pretty easily. There's the clip where it's split. And this piece right here can come out too. I'm going to go ahead and show you all the pieces. Okay, this is the hose. And you can see it's a pretty long hose. There's one on each side, so a guy could blow out those with air compressor if there's any debris in here clogging. And this is the panel that's in the top of the roof. This one's in sad shape. It's kind of rusty, but I think they're designed to leak a little bit around these edges. It doesn't seal real tight, so any water that leaks down in it gets caught in the pan and then it drains out these holes. So that'd be the first thing I'd check, is if these hoses are clogged, if you have any leaks. This is the piece that went around for the trim. And this is the sliding, the whole mechanism here. Sliding. This thing pops up. This is where this shim was on here, and that's where it attaches to the roof. And there's a shim here, also where it attaches to the roof, right there. This is the control panel for it. Plug. There's just the one screw and one screw here holding it in, and then you can get out the motor, which there were 2 bolts holding it in. And the way the motor works, it's got that little gear. It turns forwards or counterclockwise and clockwise. You can turn that screw mechanically. If you remove this screw, then you can stick a screwdriver in the hole and turn it by hand. And there's I'll flip this over in a minute, but along here underneath is the cable that runs off these gears. There's 2 cables side by side, or spaced about this far apart, and so it hits each side of this little gear. And since it's a steel spring type cable, it can, if it sits for a long time, it can actually electrolysis and rust happens, and it can get stuck. That's what's wrong with the car that I showed earlier. It's stuck, it won't move. And on this one here, when I took it apart, I don't know if you can see in there, that's the cable, and it's kind of corroded. So I don't know if it'll even move on this one. This car was sitting for years in a shed. Anyway, this is how these things look. This piece was underneath there. This flip up thing, wind deflector, I guess it is, went into these holes here. Okay, I'll flip this thing over now. That's the cable inside there. It kind of looks like a cable off an old lawnmower type thing, but the spring or the coil that's wrapped around is loose, so that it can work like a gear. There were no screws back in that area, so removing it, you had to kind of pry the sealing off the car a little bit in order to get at some of the screws. There's quite a few screws going around that held it in, but none of them were back in the tight area where you couldn't get to it. It was very lightly sealed. Was the strip here. It was sticking to the metal, but it's not really glued or anything. It's just a gasket, I guess. I tried hooking the motor up to this, but it wouldn't move it. The cables are seized up. I'm going to have to clean them up somehow, lubricate them. Looks like the inside cable controls this side, which would be the passenger side. And the outside cable controls the driver's side. So there's two cables. This one runs all the way around over to ends about right there. So I assume this one runs all the way around probably. It ends in here somewhere, yeah. Right about there. I'm going to try to lubricate those things somehow and get them moving. Okay, I took a little screw out right here, and then I could pull that back. And I squirted some oil on that. I don't know if I should have or not. It doesn't look that corroded. It's just, it's got some kind of fuzz sticking out. So anyway, I can't seem to get that thing to move back there. So I'm thinking maybe that thing's stuck. I'm going to work on that next. Okay, I took a screw out on this side. And when I slide this thing, this slides. Or on the other side, it wouldn't move. See, it's staying stationary. And, so I got to get that one unstuck on the other side. Alright, you see this one slides back and forth. So I can loosen everything up. So I just need to get the other side to move. Okay, I hooked it up temporarily, hooked the battery up to it. Go ahead and touch it and you'll see it move. And if we reverse the wires, then it'll go the other direction. So that was all that was wrong with it. It just sat for so long it was stuck and it wouldn't move. So I assume I can put it back in the car. Might even tackle that one out there, try to fix it. Notice these shims go there and here. The shop factory service manual kind of gives you an explanation on how to shim them to get this thing to get in the right spot when it shuts, opens and shuts. So I guess that's it for that thing. This part right here installs right in there. There's one on each side, and there is a screw here, screw here, screw here, here, here. There's quite a few screws I pulled out of there. I'll bolted in. And these were inside the car that a lot of the screws screwed into. Earlier I was talking about how you need to locate these before you install it, but I guess you really don't. As long as you don't put the motor in, go ahead and install this thing into the car and get the roof installed. The roof panel. It's this thing over here. It's all rusted up one, but once that's installed, then install the motor, and that will self-center everything.